Merry Christmas, everyone. Let's open up our presents from the HorrorPack company. Well, as I said at the beginning of this video, Merry Christmas. It is Christmas Eve, which explains why I'm not in my usual filming location and why you're seeing a slightly dimmer sort of video than usual. It's because I don't want to be stuck in my filming studio on Christmas Eve, and this is Christmas Eve, and just in time for Christmas, I got my boxes from the fine folks over at the HorrorPack company. And as you all know, I like to open those up here on this channel and discover at the same time as y'all whatever wonderful gifts we find inside. And because this is the Christmas holiday, as much as I love spending time with y'all, I don't want to be recording this all night. I have other business to attend to this wonderful, chilly, frigid Christmas Eve, so I'm going to make this a quick one, and then I'm going to go off and do some other things. Let me just remind you, as always, to like, share, subscribe, ring the notification bell, do all of those wonderful things. That would be a wonderful Christmas gift for me. It would help me grow this channel, and I have to sort of grovel every time anyway, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and open these up and see what the fine folks at HorrorPack have sent us this December of 2023. This is, of course, the last month of the year, and as I've mentioned before, and if you're not aware, you can go check some of my previous videos, I do believe this is the last of the DVD horror packs. Here's pack number 1, but the Blu-ray pack will be continuing into 2024, so make sure you stay tuned and you'll be seeing all the fine things that I get next year. It'll just be Blu-rays only instead of Blu-rays and DVDs. But as you see, there are 2 packages this month. That means I do still have some DVDs, so never to fear, we're going to go through all of it. In any case, here they are, so without further ado, let's get right into the movies. I always like to start with the DVD packs. That is this one, so let's get right into it and see what we've got. The first one is this Hell on a Shelf. Clearly inspired by the Elf on the Shelf, but this is Hell on the Shelf. It's not a film I'm familiar with, but let me try to hold this in such a way that I can read the writing on the back, and I'll read the description for you. Forgive me for putting this in front of my face, but in the dim light I need to hold it rather close. This one says, an antique Christmas elf decoration holds the key to decades of pent-up evil and anger from beyond the grave. 3 paranormal investigators are hired by a desperate real estate agent to cleanse a house or find the reason as to why no tenant stays very long in the ominous structure. Over the course of 3 nights, the team discovers more about the supernatural happenings than they care to uncover. It's a holiday wrapping of horror with no escape. So that's Hell on a Shelf. Like I said, it's not a film that I'm familiar with, but I do like a movie that has to do with paranormal investigators, frequently fraudulent ones who discover something really paranormal happening. And this being the holiday season, it's nice to get a holiday-themed film, so I'm looking forward to Hell on a Shelf. Next we have this. This is The Curse of Dracula. Obviously I know Dracula, but I do not know The Curse of Dracula, so let's read the description of this one, which says, 2 crooks looking to scam wealthy tourists organize a guided tour of an abandoned Slovenian manor house rumored to be haunted by the cousin of Count Dracula. I did not know the Count had a cousin, but there we go. Carrying on, it says, their first group consists of a Swedish Satanist, French Goths, and a Russian porn director. The tour descends into bloody chaos as the tourists are slaughtered one by a mysterious phantom wielding a saw. So, I'm not sure if this is actually a vampire movie or if something else is happening in a setting rumored to be the home of a vampire, but either way, it makes for an intriguing film. It sounds like it has an interesting cast of characters, so this should be another interesting one to try out. Next we have Bloodsuckers Collection, featuring The Breed, Cave, Forsaken, and Vampires the Turning, which I've seen this collection before, and I don't recall if I picked it up somewhere or if this is a duplicate from the HorrorPack company. It sounds very familiar, like I saw it a couple months back, but it's confusing to me because I thought it was out of a HorrorPack, but maybe I picked it up somewhere else. In any case, it's got 4 vampire movies. I have seen all of them because, like I said, I picked this up somewhere, and they're actually pretty good movies. None of them are going to be the best movie you've ever seen, but they're all decent, so that's a worthy entry into your collection if you don't already have a copy. And finally, from the DVD pack, we have a film entitled The Haunting of Borley Manor. The Haunting of Borley Manor. It's not one that I'm familiar with, but it sounds like a haunted house story. We have what looks like a creepy-looking nun character standing in front of a creepy-looking manor house. So I think we're in for some creepy good times with this one. Like I said, it's not one that I'm familiar with, but let's read the description, which I need to hold even closer in this case because of the dim light, but I will read this description and we'll see what we're in for. It says it's based on the shocking true story, which always, I'd say I have mixed thoughts about films that claim to be based on a true story. That's a topic for a whole other video, which I'll probably make at some point, so make sure you stick around. It's also part of a lecture that I give with my colleague at the Rocky Mountain Paranormal Research Society. We talk about films that are supposed to be based on true stories. In any case, that's going off on a bit of a tangent. Let's talk about this film, the description of which says, 1944, England. A recovering American serviceman is sent to a remote cottage in Essex, where he's instructed to monitor German airwaves. His nightmares of combat haunt him, and his rehabilitation is distracted by the discovery of the half-demolished Borley Manor, and something ungodly that still lives there. This evil presence follows him back to the cottage, and his nightmares overlap into hell. He calls on Harry Price, the famous paranormal investigator, to come and help him solve the mystery of the Nun of Borley. Now, Harry Price is somebody I am familiar with, and like I said, I'm making this video as brief as possible to go into holiday business, so I'm not going to go into the whole history of Harry Price, but this is a known character who's been the subject of quite a few horror movies, and several not horror movies, but still related to the paranormal, so he's an intriguing character, and this is an intriguing film, so I think we've done pretty well with the DVD set for this December. Let's move on and talk about the Blu-rays. First up out of the Blu-ray set is Spiral. This is the sort of Saw sequel starring Chris Rock, which everyone was sort of all a Twitter about it when it came out because Chris Rock doesn't normally do the sort of things that fit in with the Saw franchise. And this wasn't a direct sequel, it was sort of a spin-off slash sequel, and nobody was quite sure exactly how it was going to fit into the franchise. But this is one that I have seen, and I'm not going to say it's my favorite of the Saw franchise, but it's still a pretty good one. This is a worthy entry into your collection if you don't already have a copy. In case you don't know, I'll quickly read the back of this one. It says, a criminal mastermind unleashes a twisted form of justice in Spiral, the terrifying new chapter from the Book of Saw. Working in the shadow of his father, an esteemed police veteran, brash detective Ezekiel Zeke Banks and his rookie partner take charge of a grisly investigation into murders that are eerily reminiscent of the city's gruesome past. Unwittingly entrapped in a deepening mystery, Zeke finds himself at the center of the killer's morbid game. It doesn't tell you a whole lot of detail, and I don't think it should. I think that's just enough to let you know what you're in for. It's Chris Rock as a police officer in a sequel slash spin-off of the Saw franchise, and it's a pretty good one. I did already have a copy of this one, but I noticed this is the 4K Ultra version, which I did not have. I just had I don't remember if it was a DVD or a regular Blu-ray, but I didn't have the 4K version, so this is an upgrade and a worthy addition to my collection. Next, we have a film entitled Evil Bong, which is, again, not one that I'm familiar with. It says it has Tommy Chong in it, so given that and given the title, I think we know what this is all about, but let me read the description anyway. It says, straight-laced nerd Alistair moves into a college dorm with hardcore marijuana users Brett, Larnell, and Bachman. Larnell orders an old giant bong that proves to have strange magical powers. When smoked, said Bong sends a person to a bizarre, drugged-out alternate realm from which there is no easy escape. Comedy legend Tommy Chong headlines this cult classic weed-tastic romp, now fully remastered on HD for the very first time. I'm not sure what to think of this. I typically don't find stoner comedies all that funny. I don't understand it. It's not for me. I'm not putting it down, but it's not for me usually. But every once in a while, one of these kinds of movies comes out of the horror pack, like this one, and really surprises me. So I'm going to give it a fair try. I don't expect this one to be one of my favorites, but Tommy Chong, I gotta say, as much as stoner comedies are not usually my kind of thing, Tommy Chong's pretty funny anyway, so it's got a decent shot of being one of those few that I sort of like anyway. So I am looking forward to giving it a try. Next, we have a film entitled The Hand That Feeds the Dead. This is one that I am familiar with. It stars Klaus Kinski, but I've not seen it. I know of it, but I've never seen it. So let's read the description on this one and see what we're in for here. It says, Klaus Kinski carves up female faces in this lost Euro horror shocker. Legendary eccentric performer Klaus Kinski, etc., 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 brings his inimitable brand of intensity to this rarely seen work of visceral European horror presented here uncut for the first time in North America, remastered from the original 35mm negative. And of course, that is why I'm familiar with it. This is an old, known movie. But I've never seen it, and I've never really gone looking for it, so I'm not sure if it's been as hard to find as the description leads us to believe so far, but I've never ended up with a copy in my collection anyway. Carrying on, it says, Kinski plays Professor Nijinsky, whose work with experimental skin grafts has been aborted by a lab fire that has left his wife Tanya now hideously burned, her face a bloody mass of flayed flesh and tissue. Nijinsky vows to continue his research, venturing into the village with his hypnotized henchmen to kidnap and murder local young women and remove their skin, transplanting it onto his tortured wife's ruined skull. Will Nijinsky get away with his hideous crimes and bring his beloved back to her previous luscious luster, or will the long arm of the law put an end to this tirade of murder and mad science? One of two Turkish-Italian Kinski horror films with similar plots, cast and crew shot back-to-back by etc., etc., etc. Okay, that's giving us some history of the film, which I'll talk about when I do my review of these. We don't need to know for now. We've got the plot for now. So this is one that I'm really looking forward to because I'm a fan of a lot of these old classic horror movies, and this is one that has flown kind of under my radar. Like I said, I've heard of it but never seen it. So this is a wonderful gift for me, something that I haven't seen before and very much want to see. And finally, we have what must be the HorrorPack exclusive. If I look at the spine, I see this is exclusive number 90. There is always an exclusive Blu-ray in the HorrorPacks, or in the Blu-ray HorrorPack anyway. This one is a film called Fog City. Like I said, it's exclusive number 90, because they've been at this for quite a while. And I tend not to know much about these films. These exclusives are usually ones, not always, but usually ones that have flown under my radar. This one is similar. I'm not familiar with it, but the description says, "You can't shoot the fog." That's sort of a tagline, and then the actual description says, a group of friends seal themselves inside a secluded Cape Cod vacation home after a mysterious orange fog leaks from an old nearby factory. Once trapped, they quickly learn there is no escape. So that doesn't really tell us a whole lot about what there's no escape from exactly. We have this mysterious orange fog, which is a strange color for a fog to be, but I'm not sure if that's supernatural or some sort of toxin or just some sort of anomaly that puts these people together, and then maybe the villain or monster or threat is something that's within this vacation home in which they've locked themselves rather than the fog from outside. Could go either way. Either would make for an interesting sort of a horror movie, although very different kinds of horror movies. But either way, I'm looking forward to it, so I am thrilled to try Fog City along with all the others. And so there we have it. Some wonderful new films, a few of which I've seen, most of which I have not. But regardless, some wonderful gifts from the fine folks over at HorrorPack. This is a wonderful way for me to start my Christmas holiday by, well, unwrapping some wonderful gifts. I'm sure I'll be unwrapping more gifts from other people tomorrow morning. But before I can do that, I have a lot of other holiday business to attend to, and I'd like to still have some time before this fire burns all the way down to watch perhaps one of these movies and read some horror books, so I better sign off and go do those things. So I'm going to do that. Do be sure to make sure you've subscribed and rung the notification bell and all the other things I beg you to do all the time. Most importantly, though, have a Merry Christmas, and as always, take care and stay scared.